Robin Jones Gunn is the author of more than 100 fiction and nonfiction books, including the popular teen Christy Miller series. And Tricia Goyer is a best-selling author, adoptive mom, and podcast host. And actually, they both host podcasts, and they're lifelong friends. Together, they wrote Praying for Your Future Husband. And the new devotional helps young single women establish God-honoring thinking and beliefs that will lay a firm foundation for their future marriage. So joining me to talk about Before You Meet Your Future Husband is both Robin and Tricia. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
So excited to have you both on. And I would love, and I'm excited to hear from both of you. I'm going to throw a few questions out that either of you could answer. First of all, movies, novels, really our society creates, I would say, an unrealistic expectation of what true love looks like. We've all fallen for it. So what does it not look like? And what do you feel it should look like for teens and young women? What should they believe about love?
I have 4 teenagers living in my house. 3 of them are girls. We have 10 kids altogether. And I see this. I see the movies. I see the short reels. And love is this emotion and drama and these great big displays of affection on these 30-minute segments. And that is not real love. And so really it is talking to them about this lifelong commitment that starts with our heart and what we believe in our heart, our minds, the things we're putting into our minds, and then how we're living out our lives. And that really is the goal of our devotion, to get our kids, our teens, those in our 20s and 30s thinking about not just these short little quick displays of all this drama and romance, but really thinking about, let's take some time to ponder what is really going on in our heart and what God can do there.
And how would you say it could be harmful to have that false impression of what love is?
Well, there's such a role modeling that's happening. Like, this is what I should expect it to look like if someone's really going to be pursuing me, or what our romance or future marriage would look like. And you mentioned the Christy Miller books. Those have been in print for decades. And I have heard from readers around the world, there's millions of copies sold. Mm-hmm. And one thing that kept coming up in the last couple of years, would be letters from moms saying, I read the Christy Miller books. They were great role models for me and helped me to form my opinion of what God wanted for my life and romance. And now my daughter is 12 and it's a completely different world. And I wish she would write something that would be just concise and gentle and to the point that I could use to start these conversations with her. And that's what Tricia and I were thinking after we had written Praying for Your Future Husband. We thought we need a companion book or prequel before you even meet your future husband. What's going on in your life? And how is your heart being prepared for what God has for you for the rest of your life? So that was the motivation to get going on this book. And it turned out just the way we wanted it. Perfect for moms to use with their daughters, or ideal for young women to gather together, or older women. There's no age limit, but to have those conversations.
So Tricia, you already touched on actually the 3 categories. You divided the book into 3 sections. Could you explain a bit more the heart, head, and hands? What do we see in each section?
Yeah, the heart is where all our love is for God. And when we allow our heart to be filled up with God's love and really understand we are His, He has created us for a purpose. He loves us completely. He has a good plan for us. If that is stored in our heart, then we aren't going to be focused on, oh, he's cute, or I want this, or this immediate fix, because we see that God has this bigger picture for us. And so then it goes to our mind. What do we allow into our minds? What are we thinking about? What are we pondering? We talk about confession. Are there things that, you're thinking maybe that's not too bad, but God is saying, no, we need to clean those things out of your mind. That's really what we're encouraging them to do. And then your hands is basically, how are you walking out your faith? Who are you? Because it's not like you're just going to sit here and wait for the guy to show up, but God has plans for you. And as you're walking out the path and following Him, then the right person, if that is God's plan for you, will come along and follow that journey with you. But you need to be about the business that God has already designed for you to do, to glorify Him and to impact the world, instead of just sitting there and like, I don't know, I'm just going to sit here and wait until the right guy comes. Because God has so much planned for this generation of young women.
Is there an area, I mean, just from your experience, both of you, is there somewhere you see right now in today's culture where a young woman or a teen needs to see the most transformation happen?
I think that it's got to start with the heart always. That's the wellspring of life. And so to be able to have a tool like this book to help you examine where are your thinking errors? That's again the head. So we got the heart and the head, but the process begins when you can be honest with yourself. And we added questions with each of these 30 devotions so that the person going through the book would pause and ask these questions and answer honestly so they can really evaluate where they're at. And then we also added prayers for each section because it's so interesting how many young women are saying, I don't really know how to pray. I don't know how to talk to God or to make it personal. Does he really care about me? So that was our objective in the book overall, is that the girls and women who dive into this, that they would draw closer to the Lord. And in that process, he's going to reveal what he wants for you. Is there a future husband? Is there not? He'll show you. And it'll be good because it's his plan for you.
And I think that's where that peaceful, more empowered approach to dating really comes from. Right. You know, I love the line, Robin, that you said, I didn't need a man to save me. Jesus already had done that. And I think that's such a great reminder because we find so much peace in that. It's like, you know what? Like pressure's off, right?
Yeah.
So would you actually talk to the teen girl of Robin who actually thinks that she's in love? Because I know that that's part of your story. You said that you fell in love repeatedly before you turned 22. I was a little boy crazy in school too. You know, what advice, what guidance would you give to that young person who really does feel like, oh, I'm in love, this is it?
Well, when we wrote Praying for Your Future Husband, Tricia and I both very vulnerably shared our stories, and I'd love for her to say a little bit about hers, but mine was opposite of hers. I grew up in a church community and had pretty strict parents, but I was a romantic, and I wrote letters to my future husband, and I thought I was in love several times. When I was in college at a Bible college, I was engaged, and I thought, this is it. He's the one. And then he broke the engagement and broke my heart in 1,000 pieces, and I thought, I don't know who I am or what God wants for my life. And that was several years then of these great adventures that God brought to me because I surrendered everything. Lord, just lead me wherever you want me to go and do whatever you want. And in the process, as I was working with teenagers on a bike ride for a weekend long bike ride, it was when I met my husband. We've been married for 46 years. And it was that change of what love really is, that the way that I viewed love was not accurate. And the Lord gently showed me what his love is for me, and then how love works in a marriage relationship. So when we wrote Praying for Your Future Husband, that was part of our stories. And Tricia had the opposite, as I said.
Yeah. Well, and actually just tying in with Tricia and your story being so different. And first of all, I appreciate both of you being so vulnerable in the book too. I think girls and women are going to they're going to find something they can relate to in both of your stories. But Tricia, could you speak to that young woman listening who maybe has made mistakes? Maybe she chased the wrong thing and is dealing with some consequences. Where does she go from here?
Absolutely. So my story is I had grown up in church. My mom became a Christian when I was in elementary school. So I went to church. We were there all the time. I knew about God, but when I got to the age where dating came in, like God took a back seat to the guys, the football players, the really cute guys. I was a cheerleader, and I had 2 teen pregnancies. I had an abortion when I was 15, which is something that I really regret. And then I was pregnant at 17 by the same boyfriend, and he dumped me. I dropped out of school. So here I was, 17, pregnant, at home. And it was during that time, I'm just like, I have headed the wrong way. And I said, God, if you can do anything with my life, please do. That was my surrender. And then I started praying for my future husband. And so the encouragement is, I think sometimes we think like, oh, Robin wrote the letters and stayed pure till marriage and all the right things. So God can use that. But God, for me, just saying, if you can do anything with my life, please do. It was like, God was like, I cannot wait to show you what I can do with your life. And he brought John We got married when my son Corey was 9 months old. He brought him pretty quickly. He was a pastor's son, and God has just continued to show up. So there is nothing we can do that will be too bad or too hard for God to completely bring a beautiful story out of it. He brings beauty from the ashes, and my story is evidence. I just give hope to young women, whether they've done something that they regret or things have happened to them and they feel like God can't even use me because all this hard stuff has been in my life. God can use you. He has a good plan. And, our encouragement is seek him, turn to him with your heart and your mind and your actions, and he will do amazing things with your life.
Any final words, ladies, as we wrap up?
We just love young women, and we love hearing from them. And over the years, these letters we've received after our first book motivated a lot when we were writing this next book, because we don't feel that there are enough voices who are speaking into the lives of this next generation. And so we want to come alongside and give that encouragement and direction. And that's why this new book is just really going to fit that gap.
Yeah, and really find someone to read along with you.
Yes.
It's just so encouraging to have a friend that you can talk about these concepts, that encourage each other, pray for each other. You can stay strong, especially when you have a friend right there. When you're feeling down, they can lift you up, and vice versa.
Yeah, awesome. Well, before you meet your future husband, it has 30 questions to ask yourself and 30 heartfelt prayers. Writing team, Robin Jones-Gunn and Tricia Goyer. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.